Hello and welcome to a look at the week ahead through Vedic astrology for the week that begins on the 9th of June 2016, taking you all the way up and through the 15th. Sorry for the delay this week. I had a lovely trip to the dentist. He says that as he rolls his eyes up in his head. Well, actually, it wasn't that bad. Actually, it's turning out rather good. I thought I was going to have a tooth out, but actually I don't. So things are much better, but it's kind of put me a day behind. But here we are and ready to talk about your astrology for the week. And what I want to talk to you about this week is the fact that with great power also comes great responsibility, right? That's why those people who don't want to be that responsible, well, they, a lot of instances, their power doesn't really last very long, right? And that's why those people who are very powerful many times aren't very responsible because they can't maintain it after a while. So why am I saying that to you this week? Well, you're wanting to make a shift from a particular set of circumstances. And on one level, you don't really feel like the moment is absolutely perfectly right just yet. As the week begins to progress, you're likely going to feel that it does begin to feel more so. But also as that happens, there's a little warning in it all in store for you. Because as the week progresses, what we've got is a deepening alignment between Jupiter and Rahu. And they're both going to be shifting into the same 3-degree, 20-minute section of the sky. What do I mean by that? If you take a zodiac sign and you carve it into 9 equal portions, which would create in Vedic astrology what's called a Navamsha, the 9th division, these two, it would create 3 degrees and 20 minutes. When planets occupy the same 3-degree, 20-minute section of sky, their alignment becomes very powerful. Watch this over time if you're an astrology enthusiast, and notice when those two planets, take a zodiac sign, mark the numbers, start with 0 to 320, 320 to 640, 640 to 10, 10 to 1320, so on and so forth. And notice when those two planets enter the same section of the sky, notice how powerful that alignment becomes, right? Exceptionally powerful. So that's actually going to take place this week, and that's going to take place in Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, which is where Jupiter is shifting as the week progresses. Let's talk about Uttara Phalguni energy here for a little bit, right? Uttara Phalguni energy, among the many other things that are associated with it, it likes to have a cause to champion, right? It's different people differ in terms of the deity that's connected with Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra, but I find it more closely aligned with Aryaman. Some people say it's Bhaga, some people say it's Aryaman, for those of you who follow the nakshatras. But it tends to have more alignment with Aryaman, because if you read stories about Aryaman in Vedic mythology, he gets involved in a lot of battles and is a seasoned veteran. He's always strong. So there's a desire to feel confident with this nakshatra, desire to feel confident that you're making a shift in the right direction. But Rahu and Jupiter are aligning with each other, and that expansive nature of Jupiter is going to connect with Rahu, and that can be very inflammatory, because equally what you've got going on this week is Mars recently having shifted back into Vishaka Nakshatra, which is associated with both Indra and Agni. Now, Indra is the king of the gods, right? He attained his position by achieving all these great feats, doing all these great disciplines, suffering severe penance in order to make certain things happen. Agni is the god of fire. So fire gives us passion, but equally it also purifies. So as the week progresses, there is one part of you that's beginning to see a different side of a story. And as that happens, part of you, even though you want to feel strong outside, and perhaps even outside, you're able to maintain that external quality of seeming powerful and seeming strong and going about championing a cause. Inside, you might be wavering a little bit, right? In terms of, you know, feeling like you can handle something, or like you feeling as if you can handle the responsibility. Mars, as it is in Vishaka Nakshatra, is going to form a few different alignments this week, three of which I want to talk about specifically. One to the Sun, one to Mercury, and one to Venus, right? So the Sun is transiting through Mrigashira Nakshatra. Mrigashira Nakshatra is going to be instilling, that's the word I'm looking for, in the Sun, the desire to make a shift in order to find a level of life that's a little more fulfilling. And as the week progresses, that Sun becomes more firm in its resolve to do so. And this is through the interaction with Mars. But remember, Mars has that wavering quality that's going on inside of itself. The Sun is always big on honor. It wants to feel honorable. So it doesn't want to lose dignity, and it doesn't want to lose face, so to speak. So Mars isn't going to feel that comfortable with that inner sense of wavering, so to speak, okay? As the week progresses and Mars is forming a connection with Mercury, which is beginning to help you as an individual to see your own power and to see your own strength. But towards the end of the week, the warning might be one along the lines of, have you really grown in relation to a specific set of circumstances? As Mercury begins to shift into Rohini Nakshatra, and as we know, Rohini Nakshatra is ruled by the moon, and that can make that energy waver pretty much on a daily basis. One day it can be one way, one day it can be another, dependent upon the dignity of the moon as we're moving closer to a full moon. We'll talk about that towards the end. The full moon actually happens next week, so we'll talk more about that next week too. And Mars forming an alignment with Venus. I'm just going to kind of sum it all up, because Venus moves from Mrigashira Nakshatra into Ardra Nakshatra. And as this happens, remember, you've got that Jupiter-Rahu connection, right? And Ardra is actually ruled by Rahu. So one becomes very mentally attached to a particular way of approaching a set of circumstances. And one really begins to push for a way out of a particular set of circumstances. But you don't really feel like it's right. You're not really certain if it's right inside. Like I said, inside you're wavering because of that position of Mars. Outside, you're trying to maintain a state of dignity because of Mars is also in a very strong position this week. But inside, in the way he's trying to grow things, he's wavering. He's going through a purification process. Now, just touching on it briefly, next week, we've got a full moon that's going to, as it becomes full, approach and go past a conjunction with Mars. So that's going to be really powerful. Well, I'm sorry. Yes, it is going to, sorry, I was just kind of looking at my chart for a moment. A couple of days, and it's actually, I think, if you just bear with me, I'm going to get the exact date for you, my viewers here. And if we just move it forward a few dates. Just bear with me. I'm just looking at my computer screen. I think it's actually going to be during the day of the 20th as we approach the solstice. But a few days before that, Mars will actually be having an alignment with the moon, as the moon is a few days later going to become full. So you can look for, as that happens, and this is the reason I was bringing this to the surface, you can look for your insight on a particular set of circumstances that you're dealing this week, the insight that's making you feel like you're not really powerful enough to make the changes. Well, you can look at that, begin to change and begin to shift. And it's really interesting because as we approach that full moon, Rahu and Jupiter are going to be within a couple of minutes of arc of each other, right? So it can help you to make this shift. I know everybody gives Rahu a bad reputation, but Rahu is our destiny, and this is a destined shift that you're needing to make. So as you make this particular shift, I do want you to keep the words that I spoke to you about at the very beginning of this in mind, which is, with power comes responsibility. So you gain a certain degree of personal power to make this shift, but you've got to maintain, and you've got to live with the changes that you're making. I'm not saying those changes are bad. Many of your cases, it's probably very good. But sometimes we make a change and it comes at the expense of something else. So you have to be very conscious of the price that you're paying for a specific change, and very sure that this is something that you want. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly why you're wavering inside. Don't worry, by the time the full moon comes on the following week, you'll be ready for it. You'll know what to do. And so until then, my friends, please do take the very best care of yourself, with just a brief reminder that my astrological services page, if you want to schedule something with me, it's either here or here. Hey, I can't help it. I don't remember where I put it each week. And actually, when I record these videos, it comes out with me in a mirror. So you know what I mean? So I don't know which direction I'm pointing at. So astrological services link is below. That'll take you to my astrological services page if you wish to schedule something with me. That's going to do it for a look ahead at the week through Vedic astrology for the week beginning the 9th of June, 2016. Until next week, please take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.